Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for everybody for getting here. We're excited to be certainly selected to host one of the 16 regionals. It's something we talked about when we talked about and planned for the opening of Bart Kaufman Field. I think it's just a special time, not only for our program, but for Indiana University and really Bloomington at large, because if you remember, when we talked about that, this is something that we thought would be very special for the community. So first and foremost, we're thrilled to have the opportunity to showpiece what we think is one of the finest venues in the country. Competitively, I mean, we think, and I've read some of the reviews of the regionals, and it's the same old thing. I think Big Ten baseball and such doesn't get some of the respect maybe that it deserves nationally, but I think this is going to shape up to be a tremendous regional. I look at it, and the one thing that jumped out to me right away was the other three teams that are participating in this regional participated in regionals last year. The only team that was not in a regional was Indiana University. So I think, certainly from that standpoint, I think that's an advantage with them that they've got the experience. The good part about that is I think this is a veteran ball club. If you followed our season up to this point with the way we concluded on the road at Ohio State, and certainly a very competitive Big Ten tournament, we've kind of been in tournament mode for the last 2 weeks. So I think that's certainly going to bode well for us. But we're, sound like a cliche, but we are tremendously excited to be in this position, thrilled. I've had, several people, and I know the kids too, just enjoy the moment. Well, we're going to do more than enjoy the moment. We're actually going to try to win. So with that, I'm going to kind of open it up and certainly follow your guys' lead on what I'm supposed to do. But again, thanks for everybody for coming.
Thank you again. Thanks for having me up here. We're obviously very excited to be here. This is why you get into college athletics, to play in the postseason, and to do it in front of our home crowd and our families is very exciting. These guys to my left and the rest of the guys in the locker room, they've worked extremely hard. They've took care of each other, and we're tickled to death to be to have the opportunity to potentially play in a super regional after this.
All right, well, for questions, state your name and affiliation when asking.
Anybody or players first? Okay. I guess players first. Michael and Joey, Zach Osterman, Inside Indiana. You've got that goal board out there in front of the locker room, and you guys have talked all year about just kind of readjusting focus every time you reach one of those. I mean, how much do you change your mentality for the postseason versus trying to kind of keep, I guess, the same even keel that you've had all year?
Well, like Skip just said, I think we kind of have been in postseason mode for the past 2 weeks, and our goal is just to play the best baseball that we can. And we know that just like in the past 2 weeks against Ohio State and the Big Ten tournament, it's kind of do or die time. And I feel like we've played a lot of our best baseball in those moments. And the goal board out there that we have, every time we have gotten one of those goals, it's something that, all right, it's just another check mark along the way. And our main focus is still controlling how we play baseball. So that's our goal in this regional, and we obviously want to get to the super regional beyond. But we know that if we play our best baseball, that we have a good opportunity to accomplish the rest of the goals on that board.
Somebody else.
Anyway, sure. Dustin DePierac, Bloomington Herald-Times. Just for the guys, Mike and Joey, just what's it been like just to have this thing here, basically, just to be hosting a regional and know that in the first year at Bart Kaufman Field, you brought this thing here and just be ready to go into to be starting tournament play.
It's definitely very exciting. This is the first time that any of us have been in this situation before. It's also perfect timing just because we have the new field and we've been having a pretty successful year so far. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say it's perfect timing. It's very exciting.
For me, it's a pretty humbling experience coming in here as a freshman and going through some of the teams that we had. My sophomore year, we had a disappointment with – we had a lot of talent on the team and expected to go pretty far, but didn't even end up making the Big Ten tournament. So to get to in my final season, host a regional, it's really everything that I wanted in a career here to be able to do this. And being able to do it in a new stadium is huge for the program, and we all know that, and we're definitely very proud of that.
It's all right, just a follow-up, Zach Osterman of Inside Indiana again. Tracy and Ty, I guess you went to the regional in 2009, but what's different when you are at home? What is different? What about your approach is different? What is different logistically when you are playing in your home stadium?
Well, I've said this before, and I mean no disrespect to what we were trying to accomplish in 2009, but I almost thought after the 2009 tournament, which we were playing fantastic baseball, the media reports were saying Indiana was the sleeper team to get to the College World Series and so on and so forth, but I think the sense was, or the feeling that I had, and it certainly played out that way in the regional, was there was this collective sigh of relief amongst the players that we got to a regional. I think there was just so much of this focus to get to the regional. There was not an emphasis to me on winning the regional, and I think that's the difference with this team is, and if you watched even the celebration, and it was fun, but you guys aren't open to the moments on the bus or the hotel or the whatever at the end of it. It wasn't this jubilance or these guys jumping around and going crazy like it was in 2009. It was like, okay, and like Mike said, check, we won the tournament, now we're on to our next goal. And it's not fake. These guys are very even keel. And then I think it's just an overall attitude, the talent-wise. I mean, that 2019 was very talented, several draft picks, 3 first-round draft picks. But I just think the mindset is we're not satisfied. And I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination we're going to roll through this. We could go out and lose the first 2. But I can tell you for a fact this mindset right now is totally different than 2009. These guys expect to win, they want to win, and they feel like they have a lot of season left to play. And why, you're probably wondering why is Ty next to me. I said everybody gives the attention to our hitters. We've got one of the top pitching teams in the country. So rather than me answer, I'm not with those guys. Those guys are nuts. So I'll let him speak to that stuff if they're.
I mean, the big difference with the pitching, we obviously had some very talented. We had a talented twosome, I should say, with Arnett and Bayshore in 09. A little bit selfish, I think. They kind of looked beyond. They had 1 foot in college baseball and 1 foot hoping to take care of themselves and have a good professional career. This staff is much different. One, I think the work ethic is off the charts. I respect every guy on this staff, probably more than I've respected any of the guys I've coached in college baseball. And they do a great job of holding each other accountable. They know, if a starter knows that the relief guy's not taking care of business on his off days, they take care of each other, making sure things are taken care of. It's just, and the big difference I think is this staff is they're so competitive. They want every guy on the staff wants the baseball. They want to throw strikes. They want to pound the zone. They want to compete for their team. And it's been a blessing. Obviously we're having a great year, and I think we're good enough to continue to have a great year.
Coach Neal, Micah McVicker, Indiana.rivals.com. Coach, what was the decision-making process like to decide to have Aaron Slager start the opener against Valpo tomorrow night?
Well, Coach Smith and I have been discussing it, as he alluded to through the Big Ten tournament. We've been discussing it to really have an opportunity to match up. We wanted to match up Game 1 of the Big Ten tournament. We wanted to match up Game 1 of the regional because at the time we knew we would be playing in a regional. We just wasn't quite sure if we were hosting. Wanted to have the ability to match up. Joey obviously matches up with some of the left-handed hitting teams, some of the better base running teams. Valpo, Aaron Schlegers is a strike thrower. We're going to see a lot of right-handed hitters with the Valpo lineup. Not as much team speed maybe as the other 2 clubs. For us, it was a no-brainer. Another thing with Aaron, he's earned it. He's a strike thrower. We know we're going to be in a baseball game every time he's on the mound. I don't think we can go wrong with either guy, but we feel, obviously Aaron's a better matchup guy for this first game.
Hey, Andy Graham, Bloomington Herald-Times. Coach Neal, talk a little bit about Will Corson-Carr and the tremendous performance he gave you in the Big Ten, what turned out to be the title game.
Pretty gutsy. What a lot of people around college baseball doesn't know is they're probably thinking, all right, who's this freshman? They're starting him in a championship game. But Will Corson-Carr was pretty tested, going into that game. You can date that back to high school. He pitched his team, Fort Wayne Southside. A lot of people probably don't even realize Fort Wayne Southside has a baseball team. But he pitched his baseball team in high school his senior year to the regional finals, which is an unbelievable. He single-handedly carried that team into the postseason. he beat Louisville here at our home yard. He had Louisville beat. We were probably the knuckleheads that decided to pull him out of the game, and we ended up losing. Given
See him tilt his head to this way when he said it.
No, he's he left the game against Kentucky with I think a 3-1 lead. He's good. I guess maybe a little bit unfortunately for him, he hasn't been handed the ball as much as he would like because of the older guys that are getting it done in front of him. We feel just as good about Will Corson-Carr as we do of anyone on our pitching staff.
Just as a follow-up a little bit, going into a tournament situation where you're hopefully playing a lot of games, does this performance, over the course of the season or even recently affect in terms of, pitching depth, how you want to approach the regional?
Most certainly.
Yeah, and since he nodded, I don't want to get to make the lineup. But yeah, we're very simple in this program. You get what you deserve, and whether that be offensively, starting, whatever. And I think no question he's put himself in a certainly a position that if we're fortunate enough to play multiple games in this, that he's made our job a little bit more difficult of who you'd run out there, and that's taking nothing away from Kyle Hart. And one of my other favorite sayings is, it's not always what you're not doing, it's just that somebody's doing it a little bit better. And he's done that quite well, I think.
Terry Hutchins with the Indianapolis Star. Skip, you alluded to the Big Ten's lack of respect on the national stage, but I mean, is there a feeling almost, a kind of carrying the flag for northern schools and northern baseball and Big Ten baseball in the tournament?
Yeah, and whether it's spoken or unspoken, whether it's tangible or not, I think there is. And I've had several coaches already from the Big Ten Conference reach out, and we're pretty fortunate. This is a very close-knit group of coaches that you pull for each other and you root for it. I know how I felt when I saw Kent State and Stony Brook progressing through the NCAA tournament last year. And again, it's no disrespect to the Southern programs and the ones that traditionally do it, but it's like everybody. You root for the underdog, and like it or not, it just seems like Northern baseball is always the underdog. But the one thing, we're walking back from the plate after the Big Ten championship, and Darren Erstad says to me, he says, "Take this thing all the way to Omaha." Very intent, scared me. And I don't think that I don't think that he wasn't saying that to make me feel good or make himself feel good after a tough loss. He genuinely said that, and so I do. I think we are carrying it. We talked about that with the team, and I said, if you think for 1 minute, you want to take less of an effort on a ground ball or this, I said, we're playing honestly, for more than a lot of people are going to be watching, and I read something last night, a review of the thing, and I think it's not just, I know Florida's and not against Florida, but I've seen where Florida's taken some heat in the media for getting in the NCAA tournament. Their strength of schedule is off the charts. If you ask me personally, they should be in it. But I've seen where people are paying close attention to see, should these northern teams, if they knock Florida out, should the committee in the future put teams in or allow multiple teams from the traditional powerhouse conferences. So I think we're going to be evaluated at the end of the day on a much larger scale, and we're happy to carry the torch. We've been doing it all season, and we'll gladly continue that.
Just for Mike and Joey, what did you guys learn about yourselves about how this team is sort of built for tournament play when you guys played in Minneapolis? What did you guys sort of learn about what it takes to win in that format, and how do you think this team is built for that style of baseball?
Just that. And kind of this has been the mentality of the team all year, that we're never out of a game at any moment. And our pitching has kept us in every single baseball game we've played nearly. And we know that we have the strong bats in our lineup that if we were down by 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th, nobody on base, that does not mean that the game is over. We've done it before where we've come back in situations like that, and we have all the confidence that we can do it again. And I think that that's a mentality that we carry into this, that if things aren't going the way that we want through 8 innings of baseball, that doesn't mean that they can't go right in that last inning and that we can't get the job done. So I think that we've learned that we have a tremendous amount of confidence in our team and know that we have the ability to control a lot of what goes on in the game.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably the most competitive team that we've had in 3 years. And I think coming from the pitching perspective, having the bats that we do in our lineup puts a lot less stress on the pitching staff and starters. You know, we can give up 3 or 4 runs and still know that we're still giving our team a chance to win a game. So, but yeah, I mean, again, this is probably the most competitive team, most confident team that I've been on, and I have a lot of confidence in everyone, and I think we'll do fine.
Pete DePremio, Fort Wayne News Sentinel, and Joey, Coach talked about a different mindset, that not being satisfied to be here. Can you talk about the real focus that maybe you guys have to win this, to keep winning, to go even beyond this level?
Yeah. So again, back to the goal board, we set our goals before the season started, and our final goal is to make it to the College World Series. So I mean, every weekend, whenever we check one of those goals off the list, it's on to the next one. So it's not, we're never satisfied, and I mean, this weekend we're playing to move on. We're not satisfied just to be in a regional. So yeah, our final goal is to make it to the College World Series and win it.
Thank you.
Andy Graham, Bloomington Herald-Times. Just, I want you guys to maybe expand upon something that's already been alluded to maybe, but just as seniors, Michael and Joey, when you guys came in here, what became Bart Kaufman Field eventually was just on the drawing board. It was a program that was hoping to build in more than one way. As seniors now, looking back on what you envisioned as freshmen, how are you feeling about things now?
Well, when I came in, I know that Bart Kaufman Field had been something that was being thought about before I got here, and basketball wanted a new practice facility, football wanted a new stadium, so that stuff got bumped up, and I never knew if I was for sure going to be able to play on the new field. And when I knew that I was my senior year, I was excited about it, and getting to do all this on this new stadium is all that I could ask for. You know, Sembauer was not the friendliest field to play on and didn't really draw that many people. So getting to play on this all-turf field, you get true hops, you get the atmosphere of the big crowd. It really feels like, I've said it before in the season, it feels like going from a high school field to a cathedral. And getting to host a regional this weekend is just going to make that atmosphere seem even bigger. So it's exciting for me. It's the best way to possibly to end my career here, I think, is being able to go out on this field in the first regional that Indiana's ever hosted.
I misspoke. I know Joey's a junior.
Yeah,
It's okay.
it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with Basil. It's like going from a high school field to a cathedral. Even the practices are different. I think the stadium atmosphere even makes us practice more intensely, and definitely makes the games more fun and more competitive, and just, I mean, everything about it is just it's completely different playing in this field compared to Sembauer.
Skip, just what concerns you about Valpo, I guess, just from scouting them so far?
Well, I mean, they've got a quality starting pitcher, and this is the beauty of our sport, is that it takes one guy, you know, and we say it to our guys all the time. I mean, what other sport, maybe besides the NBA with LeBron James, but what other sport where one guy can stand out in the middle of that sporting venue and shut down and shut the mouths, the mindset, the whatever, 65,000 people than baseball? It's the pitcher. And if you're good on the mound, you got a chance to win every baseball game. They're good on the mound, and we feel like, you know, particularly the closer they have, that we got to make sure that we're taking care of business early, because if you get to that closer, it's going to be tough. I think the thing you fight, and this is, you know, anytime, and we've already talked about it in our case, the underdog scenario and all of that, when you're expected to do something, you have the target on your back. It's a little bit different mindset than playing the role of the underdog. So I think we'll have a little bit of that going. But the thing that I like about Indiana is we've had that number in front of our name all year. We've had the ranking, and every time you have the ranking, everybody's going to give you a little bit more. So if this were a not veteran team, a not experienced team, I'd be a little worried about thinking they have to do too much. But we have enough confidence that if we just do what we're capable of doing, we feel like we can beat anybody in the country. We are not going to be taking Valparaiso lightly. I think, as witnessed by, I mean, you have some people go, what are you starting Slager? You know, what do you mean, what are you starting Slagers for? Slagers has been throwing the best for us. Valparaiso, they have more tournament experience than us in the last 2 years. So they're, you know, we're going to come out and put our best foot forward. And so our guys will be ready. But, you know, I guess if you're saying, what are you worried about? You know, that your guys would be ready. They'd be looking past, but I don't think we're going to have that with this group. They will be focused on Friday night. I can guarantee you that.